And I'm David Frost, and I'm here as a Deputy Lieutenant, which I'll explain a bit in a minute, for the West Midlands, and I'm the lead for the Metropolitan Borough of Walsall. And I also part of the KAVS group, which I'm here to explain. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for getting this group together, and thanks for coming along. This is the second one that I've done. I did one up at Brown Hills with Paul Gordon from who'd organised a similar group from the local authority, and I think I'm really pleased to have such a group just to talk to for the next hour or so about. Hopefully you're here for the same reason as I am, the King's Award for Voluntary Service. So I'm here, as I say, as a Deputy Lieutenant for the West Midlands Lieutenancy. That is the outgoing Lord Lieutenant, Sir John Crabtree, and he has now just recently been replaced by the new incoming Lord Lieutenant, who is a chap called Derek Anderson. So as you can see there, that person there, the Lord Lieutenant, is Her Majesty's personal representative, in this case of the West Midlands. There's one for every part of the United Kingdom: Shropshire, Herefordshire, Staffordshire, etc. There is a Lord Lieutenant. Really, because the King himself can't be everywhere, and he needs representatives, and equally, because the Lord Lieutenant can't be everywhere, he has a number of deputies. And the West Midlands covers Coventry, Solihull, Birmingham and the 4 Black Country boroughs. So it's a big population, getting on for circa 4 million. And the role of the Lieutenancy is to promote a good atmosphere, as you can see, that within local communities, take interest in the business, industrial and social life of the county and the communities that are in there. Encourage voluntary service, which you guys are clearly very much involved with. Participate in citizenship ceremonies, which I do one of those every month, just across in the town hall, where people have become British citizens and gone through all the procedures and tests. They go through a citizenship ceremony, which I, together with the Mayor of Walsall, were involved with. And I think very importantly, and most importantly, is to uphold the dignity of the Crown. So, this was obviously previously known as the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, and it was awarded on the Queen's birthday, official birthday in June. But now we have the KAVS. There are a number of key awards under the name of the King that are overseen by the Lieutenancy. King's Award for Enterprise for businesses, with a number of different categories. But very importantly, the King's Award for Voluntary Service, and this is awarded once a year by His Majesty, and it'll be the first one in November of this year. And as you can see, it's the highest award that's given to voluntary groups, and it's often referred to as equivalent to MBE, Member of the British Empire, but for a group rather than for an individual. And what it's for is exceptional volunteer-led communities, but that are making a real impact. And what I'm going to do is to explain, it's really to go through each of those, which you can read for yourself. I'm trying to do that. All I will say is to give you some idea of the scale, is that last year across the West Midlands there were 18 awards across the patch that I've just explained. Walsall traditionally has done very badly indeed, and one of the problems that we've had is actually getting entries to a tour. You don't have a chance of winning. But last year, after a very fallow period, we actually got 2 winners out of that number that I've said. We had Midland Freewheelers, which is a blood bikes organisation based over in Willenhall, and Cresswell Wanderers football team were the other, which was an outstanding operation. And so what we're trying to do is to try and keep that winning streak growing and actually building.
Got a winner in this room.
But that's just to give you an idea of the scale that we're talking about. Right, so we'll go through this. To be eligible, because this is clearly going to act as the key sift. So this is really important. It must be volunteer-led, and as it says there, they must have a direct involvement in the strategic development and management of the group, and maybe, as it's saying, invented here. So what this means, or what it doesn't mean, is that if you are an organisation and it's run very centrally by, say, trustees and a chief executive or general manager, and the volunteers purely turn up and are told what to do, get some volunteers on and come in on a Wednesday and simply instruct, I want you to do that, pick here, pick there, deliver this, deliver that. That is not a volunteer-led organisation. Volunteer, and this has to be drawn out in the application, must have a role in the strategic direction development of the group. They have to have a role in determining not only the day-to-day, but the direction, future direction, development of the organisation. Yeah, that is really, really central. So if you're involved in an organisation where yes, you've got volunteers, but they're simply coming in and told what to do, that will not get through. Must be 3 or more people in it. It must be exceptional. That's a word that we'll perhaps come back to later, what that means. And it must have been operating for 3 years as a minimum. And again, this is really key because it's going to become measurable. You must be able to show the impact of the group. It can't be just, well, we've got this nice little group going, it's run by volunteers, but you've got to be able to say, well, okay, what impact does this group, and I often flip the question over and say, if that group didn't exist, if your group didn't exist, what would be lost to the local community? Yeah, what is the value added that you've done to benefit the area that you cover? It's not just we're there because we're there. As I say, try and think in your mind, if we didn't exist, what would people lose? What would be lost to the local community that we serve? Would someone try and reinvent what we're doing? And I say ideally local, which I think all of the groups we've spoken to are. And as you can show some of the indirect benefits it's saying there, community cohesion, personal development of volunteers, again important. Do the volunteers just turn up, or do you have ways of and can you show evidence where the volunteers have actually developed? And then they started doing this, but actually they've got real potential, and we've helped them along in development, and they're actually now involved in running of the organisation. Do you share best practice with other groups? Do you meet with other groups? Do you or do you operate within isolation? I would have thought the links through yourself here and one more sort of really important. So you're clear on those? So where it's, and again, I don't think there's anyone here that fits this. Fundraising activities are eligible provided, as you say, it involves volunteers. Its focuses on creating or holding an event, and there's one that we know that's applied this year that fits that criteria. Yeah, where they do one big event.
Is that like win or not?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't know how it's done, but that would be an example of that. It must be based in the UK. And the overseas can benefit, to be honest, but to be honest, I don't think I've seen one where overseas individuals, organisations have benefited. They have really been local and a bit above. You've got to show that you've got, if where you're involved with children or where there's safeguarding involved, that you've got procedures in place. Those will be asked for and viewed, so it clearly mentions DPS. Financial sustainability, that you can show accounts, you can show that you can show that you're going to survive. The worst thing would be you win it and then you go bust the next year, which will clearly cause the king some embarrassment. And again, importantly, that you've got public liability insurance. Yeah. And that again will be asked to view the certification for that as well. It can be, as it says there, a branch of a national organisation. So you can think of a number of national charities. It's very rare where I think an affiliate actually gets through. It tends to be the local with a clear local identity. So again, this comes down to being able to quantify. There's a question, a point makes there, how many volunteers are involved? At what level are they involved? Are you able to show progression, as I said earlier on, amongst the volunteers that are there? Going back to the volunteer-led, can you point out the various roles, responsibilities that they have? How long have they been there? What sort of churn rate have you? Importantly, I think, again coming on to development, are they offer training in any form at all? Do they mentor other incoming volunteers? And again, important to draw out the diversity and inclusivity. How you engage different sections of the community, which I don't think will be any difficulty at all doing here in Walsall. And it's both gender, ethnicity, young people, disabled, single parents, so being able to, I think for the application, have an understanding of who your volunteers are. Right, the nomination itself. First of all, that is an important titling below, because that's where the application, you make the application through. It's an online application, and that's, as I say, that's the way that you will access it. You can't nominate yourself though. They must be made, as I said, thereby people who are aware of the group, but they're not a trustee, they're not a member of paid staff and independent. What I've often seen would be a local councillor, even an MP, someone that would be very powerful as someone who's been helped, who's made a fundamental change to their life by accessing the services of the group and are able to draw that out. So, for example, if you had a councillor and someone had been helped, even an MP, someone who had been helped, that would give a good balance. And as it says there, they could be, say, beneficiary, which I think, as I say, would help, aware. Doesn't tend to be strong enough, I have to say, from the ones that I've seen. It tends to be someone, who's really been help from the heart. Where a group must necessarily be, as I say, an MP or a councillor, and there must be those two supporting letters. And that's why I've said perhaps someone who's helped, someone who's local of some note. I don't know how many of you actually have had involvement from local councillors, but they are very strong protagonists for this as well. So that's the application form that I referred to, and as we said, emphasise the excellent work that you're doing. I keep on coming back to this, the difference that you make to the communities, the difference that you make to people's lives. Measurable, the volunteers, numbers, hours, what they're doing. The beneficiaries, I think this is again really key. It's not just about thinking, well, we've got so many volunteers and we do this. It's about, well, okay, who are the people who are benefiting? What's the sort of socio-economic makeup of that group? And the collateral, what's the wider benefits to the community that we serve? And just, you think about your daughter and how she's benefited from that, and you take that group as a whole, well, how are they, if you were putting an application, how would they be benefiting the wider community? So you've got a good case study there. You can see that. And as I said, the key avoids, if you have got paid staff, don't labour the point. And don't talk about this, as it's clearly saying there, command and control and any form of corporate culture, and one would make the point subservient to a national organisation or a government body, which again I don't think any of you fall into that category. So this is the timetable for this year. As I say, it's all changed because the King has a clearly different birthday from the late Queen. Nominations are now open, but they close on the 1st of December, and that's non-negotiable. The Department of Culture, Media, Sport, they all go down, the applications go into London. They review the eligibility of the nominations. If you don't meet the criteria, for example, you haven't got the staff, you haven't been operating for 3 years, you don't have public liability insurance, just basically just put in the fails pile. But then they come back to each of the lieutenancy officers, in our case the West Midlands, and they say, well, okay, here's the group that have applied, that we believe, that are eligible to go through to the next round. We've done the sifting, these are now eligible. And what happens then between January and March is that the KABS group within the deputy lieutenants, which are about 10 of us, and as I said, I'm one of those, then we go out and carry out assessments of those nominations. Now, quite rightly, the deputy lieutenants from within a particular area can't go and assess their own areas. So I'm not allowed to assess Walsall and Wolverhampton, but they can come into here. So if you make an application, if it comes back from DCMS that you're eligible, what happens then is that the deputy lieutenants come out and they carry out an in-depth interview. What I've found, having done them over the last few years, it probably could last for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just to try and draw out the application that you make it, bring it to life. And we carry out the assessment. We are not the arbiters. We do not say yes to that one and no to that one. But what we do is make an assessment and give an indication of how we think this application should look like. And it's very detailed, the response that we make. And then they go back to the DCMS by the end of March. They're collated by the office of Birmingham, and they go back to DCMS. And then there is a national committee and committees that then go through all the ones that have been received across the whole of the country, and they then come up with a list of the in quotes the winners. And in our case, I said there was 18 last time around. And the winners are advised confidentially, and then on the 14th of November, which you'll see this year, there's an announcement of who the winners are. Right. So now what the outgoing Lord Lieutenant did. Rather than doing local awards for each individual area, has all started organising which will continue, I think. A big event at the Hippodrome in the spring, where each of the winning organisations from across the whole of the West Midlands comes along and brings their group. All the mayors are present from across the Britain. I think we're near 600 that turned up for the last one, and each of the winning groups, there's 2 people come up, receives a certificate that you can see, signed by His Majesty, and in this case a commemorative piece of crystal as well. They are entitled to use the King's Awards emblem on their website, stationery and all material. Unquestionably, when we talk to groups that have won, it raises the profile of the organisation, helping it in its future work. As I said, it's a real vital. I did one presentation to a dementia cafe in Wolverhampton earlier in the year that had won this time around, and to see, I mean, there were hundreds that were there, and the civic leadership that came because it had this badge of honour, really it helped to lift the organisation. And as it says there, it gives recognition to your volunteers that you're really something special. And then 2 volunteers, as I said, they attend a Royal Garden party in the summer at Buckingham Palace. So it's really quite a prestigious event.
I think he's got a few eyebrows raised.
Yeah, they're fabulous events, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you may know some of these. This were the winners from last year. That's the badge at the top. So a completely mixed bag of organisations and backgrounds, from, as I say, Cresswell Wanderers, wrestling clubs, a daycare, as I say, a dementia cafe that's in there as well.
Just in a school, actually.
Yeah.
Is that
Student
Handsworth? St Michael's Church?
Could be. Student Voices, by the way, is a school in Sandwell that came through. So, as I say, it's a really mixed group, and certainly the way that you describe the organisation's way, that would add to all of those. And then I think finally, that's the group of winners taken at the Hippodrome at the end of last year. Okay, thank you.